All right, it's just the one game on Sunday. It's just the one team that is still worrying and waiting for their first set of points. Will a return to the Wankhede Stadium bring a change of fortunes for Rohit Sharma and the Mumbai Indians? Will Sachin Tendulkar's birthday bring a change of fortunes for Rohit Sharma and the Mumbai Indians? Anything that could go their way, they'd be happy to take. And that's where our attention lies. It's Mumbai v Lucknow. The reverse fixtures begin today in the league stage in the IPL. This is Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by IQ 9 5G. Dan Vettori in studio with me, settling in now to our clocks. And the only thing that's remaining now is for him to witness a Mumbai Indians win this season, as is for all of us. Is it going to happen today?
Could be the change of luck. We talked a lot about tosses yesterday, so yeah. I think good start for Rohit Sharma, although they went for the tried and true in terms of bowling first. A little bit of concern around the dew, so maybe that's the start that they need.
All right, we are going to play two spinners today. And Imran Tahir is back on our network. It's a very good evening to Imi, and I must ask him if he could have believed when he joins us on this day, halfway through the IPL, that Mumbai would have lost 7 out of 7. Unbelievable, isn't it, Imi?
Yeah, evening, guys. Yeah, look, obviously, you can't think of that's happened already. But I think from now onwards, Mumbai needs to be positive and I think start looking to win the game of cricket, which obviously they can. They've got the potential and ability in the squad. It's just, I think, the right time. They need to come to the party and all team needs to get together and put their performance what they're looking for.
I wonder, Amy, we gave you quite a few of those ESPN Cricket Info t-shirts. You've chosen the blue one today for any reason? Any particular reason?
There is no reason. I've been a Chennai boy.
Yes, I know, and Chennai take that very seriously. So that's why I was wondering. So, anyway,
yeah, it's just the shirt was front of me, so I had to wear it.
Yeah, we a number of us pick our clothes that way, don't we? Whatever's lying on top.
Emmy's still available to play as well, so
yes,
it might be just a little thing there.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you want a wrist spinner of high quality? We can see Rizwinder Chahal in the race for the purple cap, and on the other hand, Mumbai have not even played the only wrist spinner they have. Murugan Ashwin's found his way out of the team. It's an unchanged team for Rohit Sharma. Hrithik Shokeen keeps his place, bowled pretty well economically in that game against Chennai. So too does Jaydev Unadkat. Now, it's a team that's not winning, but they've stopped making changes. I think this might be the first time that they've gone with the same 11 back-to-back. Dan, are you surprised at all?
I am a little bit surprised because I think in the back of their mind, are they trying to develop for next year already? Because I think whilst they want to win games, they still want to understand what they've got in the likes of a Tim David and whether he's worth continuing on with next year. It's surprising that they haven't given him 1 or 2 more chances. But I like Hrithik. I was impressed with his bowling in that first game. I think as a right arm off spinner, he still took the challenge to some right hand batsmen. He had a nice release, so there's something there with him, and plus he's a batter, so hopefully he gets a continual go throughout the tournament.
The obvious change you thought maybe as a result of how that game went would have been Jaydev Unadkat, high profile, sort of over against MS Dhoni that didn't go his way. So would you have understood that change, and why do you think Mumbai have not made it?
No, I think because they actually look at the over, I think it wasn't too bad an over. I mean, the execution was so close every time. I thought that he had good plans, and it was MS's night, like it has been on a number of occasions. So I don't think you can hang him on that. And I think what Mumbai is probably looking to do now is try to give some, I suppose, be settled for the rest of it, understand the position they're in. Can we develop a couple of players, but let's not go crazy.
The problem with Mumbai Indians, we've discussed a number of times, has been their bowling. And as we look at that team again, it's a team that's decided they don't need a wrist spinner, or they don't want a wrist spinner. They're playing a rookie in Hrithik Shokeen who had a good first game. But that's the bowling lineup. Sams, Meredith, Unadkat, along with Jasprit Bumrah. Does that in any way look intimidating enough to you? I mean, they're not gone for either Ashwin or Markande, so they don't want a wrist spinner, do the Mumbai Indians?
I think they've been playing with Ashwin. He had a couple of games in him, but then I think obviously I feel sad as a spinner that he didn't perform, because I feel that the pitches weren't really there for spinners, and nice bounce, ball coming nicely on the pad. But I always like to see spinner in the team, but I think Mumbai is the team who go always with their fast bowlers. Even in the last 2-3 years, bowled Kultan Nayal, Bumrah, what I remember when I played last year against them. So I think that's how they believe that they can win the game of cricket, and that's the plan they wanna go forward with. And I think that's what we see today as well. So no spinner, but like I said, it obviously always surprised me. But I mean, that's how they wanna play the cricket.
Yep. It's not working for them, but let's see if this is the team that gets a few games now on the trot. Hrithik Shaukin keeps his place. Lucknow have made one change, though. There is a niggle for Avesh Khan. You think that's pretty big news? Avesh Khan's one of their key bowlers. So Mohsin Khan returns, who was part of the Mumbai Indians, in fact, for an IPL, and did start against the Gujarat Titans this season. Then found his way out as the rest of the players all became available. So Avesh Khan with a niggle, that's an important player missing today, Dan.
Huge player, but I suppose they're one of the few teams that can cover it because of the amount of all-rounders they have. So Avesh Khan's a fine bowler, but I don't think they'll... I mean, they would obviously like to have him, but they can cover because of the players that they have and that all-round nature of Stoinis, Holder, Krunal Pandya that we've talked about. They can mix and match between those players. And I think Chameera becomes almost their key bowler today with his ability in the power play and his ability to take on the likes of Rohit Sharma.
Yeah. I mean, Avesh Khan's a big player for them. He'll be missing because of a niggle now. Let's just focus on what Rohit Sharma and the Mumbai Indians need to do in this sort of situation. I mean, it must be a tough dressing room at this point. We know that the owners expect and demand high standards. And I don't know if it's good enough to say, maybe this is a squad that will be successful over 2 or 3 years when Jofra Archer is the investment that they've made comes good or may come good. But how would you handle this dressing room now?
Well, I think there's two parts. I think after the auction we sort of discussed, was this a 2-year plan? And the fact that they sat back and waited for Archer. There could be some other players obviously come back into a smaller auction, maybe overseas players the likes of Ben Stokes. And so they were prepared to sit back in this IPL and give a younger team a chance. And with that comes with the performance that they've got this time around. But still, they have enough senior players in there to put a performance together. So, look, no team handles losing 7 games well. You can put whatever you want on your social media, as Linny says. It doesn't matter. 7 wins is hard because the only currency in IPL is winning. So every time that loss comes along, the team gets more and more insulated. Players don't give as much, so it's incredibly difficult. The fortunate thing they have is a very experienced coaching staff and a very experienced captain in Rohit Sharma. So you hope and very successful as well. You hope they can guide them through some tough times and say, well, this is how the IPL goes, but we can bounce back at the back half of the season and hopefully into next year.
You're saying it's an experienced coaching staff, but it's also experience with success in the Mumbai Indians dugout. Can that sometimes be a challenge? You just never faced this sort of defeat or adversity in the IPL at least before.
Well, CSK and Mumbai are experiencing the same thing. For the first time, they've had consistent losing. And in the past, they may have lost 2 or 3 games, but the message has always been positive. They're going to come out, they're going to play a certain way. And they've tried that this time round, but to back up those losses after losses is unique. But I would hope that that coaching staff has enough currency from their performances in the past, as well as the senior guys. So no franchise wants to take a year off, but as we talked about after the auction, maybe this is a 2-year plan for them.
Imran, I mean, I wonder, players like Rohit Sharma, Kieron Pollard, we know that the whole team's changed and there are newer faces in that Mumbai Indians dressing room, but these guys have never been in this situation. They've never lost 7 on the trot. How do you think players like that, even with all their experience, because they're not used to this sort of failure, how do you think this would affect them?
I think that shows that the team's got some human in there. So obviously that can only happen to humans, and that's what's happening right now. It's a part of the game. You've been dominating in IPL, and this is one of the seasons where I think you're trying to play all your cards and it's not working for you. But I think rather looking back, all the results and all the losses, I think they need to look forward and they need to play positive cricket like they're known for. And I think they're trying to get 1 or 2 wins in their pocket, and they might come back in a rhythm and they win a couple of games, and I think take it from there. But from personally, I think today's game for them is really important. And I think if they win that, they'll go with the big confidence, and they are the kind of team who always known for comeback.
Yeah, well, a comeback seems highly unlikely in this season, but let's see if at least they can put some wins together. One problem, which we've identified many times, has been their bowling. As far as death bowling goes, numbers for the Mumbai Indians pretty much the worst. We're looking at an economy rate of nearly 13, and that is by some distance the worst in this year's IPL. This is in their different years, of course. They've never had this problem in the past. When you have this set of bowlers, you've got Daniel Sams, you've got Tim Mills, you've got Raunak. I mean, you know these bowlers now after a few games and their limitations. How do you still try to get something more out of them?
Well, I would have suggested the planning before the season was Bumrah, Raunak and Tim Mills. Tim Mills has been exceptional in the 100-ball competition last year with his ability to bowl sort of close to 150k Yorker and that slower ball, which has been devastating. So I think the planning at the start of the tournament will be some sort of rotation between those three. I don't think they would have expected the likes of Sams to come in at the death, but those three should be good enough to get the job done. And when you talk about getting the job done, you don't expect it every time because teams, it's tough to execute for 14 games, but I think those three should be good enough to have a record better than that 13 runs and over.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have the luxury, you could say, of bowling first. I don't know if that's a good thing. We just look at how the tosses have gone at the Wankhede Stadium so far this season. D.Y. Patel's seen a little more success for teams batting first. Now, the first 4 games, we saw the team chasing win all 4. Last 3 games, team batting first seems to have won. Things changing at all in the IPL suddenly? Or no, it's just Rajasthan Royals may be a reason for one of those, where Joss Butler is just outscoring teams.
I think that the toss is still playing a part. I mean, we spent the whole of last night talking about Kane Williamson's toss record and how impressive it's been to win all 7 and to put 5 wins in a row. So I think it's certainly helping teams. Maybe at Wankhede it's not quite as important, but it seemed like Rohit was very happy to win and worrying about that due. So maybe those little things could be the catalyst for something different tonight for Mumbai.
Yeah, we saw those numbers for their bowling, Imran. It is a problem when you don't have the wrist spinner to probably build around. You don't have a strike bowler. All you have is Bumrah. I mean, how best do you then use Bumrah? We've often seen Bumrah is great with the new ball, but here you're worried about your death bowling. I mean, you look at the rest of that bowling lineup. I'll put that up for you. You've got Daniel Sams, you've got Raunak. I'm just trying to think of, if you were in that team, how you would want to use your strike bowler, looking at the weakness of the rest of the bowling attack.
Look, I think looking at their bowling, looking at their bowlers, I still feel that obviously they've got guys who can bowl 145 plus, and then that's what you need to see in T20 cricket. Not many team has 2 or 3 bowlers who can bowl that quick. Like Dan mentioned, their bowlers are experienced. They've been playing T20 cricket. So like I said, I like to see one spinner at least in the team. Because that also can change a game a little bit if that can give you in middle overs 1 or 2 wicket, and that helps also the seamers, and then you can play around your fast bowlers, and then you can choose if you need to bring your strike bowler first and then leave the death over to another guy. But I think you've got 2-3 guys who can bowl that quick, and they got all the variations and stuff, and I think you can mix and match easily. But I think you just need to be a little bit clever when you don't have a spinner in your team. So I think that's all I can say about that.
Yeah. Expectations of Riley Meredith, perhaps, this season? He's only got the 1 game so far.
Yeah, I think the expectation is for him to perform like he's performed in the BBL and to a lesser degree for the Australian team. And then when you come to the IPL, sometimes you use it in a different role. And I think we've seen that with Meredith last year at Kings, where he probably was asked to do a bit of death, but a bit of different stuff.
A big amount of money as
big
well.
amount of money. So the expectation's high. If they can use him back into power play through the middle stages as an aggressive bowler, bowls bouncers, uses a slow ball, then I think you'll get a good result out of him. If you ask him to cover Unadkat in the death, then I think you're asking for trouble. But you can get the best out of these guys if you put them in the right situations.
Yeah, he actually got a good game last time, probably shadowed by the end and the fact that Chennai won. That was his first game of the season. Your experience, have you seen an overseas fast bowler who tends to come for big money one season, disappoints, comes back another year later for lesser money and suddenly is a better bowler than what he was in season 1?
100%. Particularly the guys who get picked up from small sample sizes. So Riley Meredith, Joe Richardson, I suppose Tim Mills a while ago, even Kyle Jamieson, they went for huge money and they weren't that experienced in T20 cricket. They certainly didn't have IPL experience and even limited at international levels. So it's great to get the money, but the expectations come with it. And I think you look at the likes of a Kyle Jamieson who stepped away from the IPL this year, probably come back next year, but you almost want to go to the right situation on a decent amount of money, but not quite as maybe you don't want those expectations as high as they've been. So you can see the bounce back from Meredith, probably a little bit more confidence. The expectations are lower. provides for a good product.
All right. Well, as far as Lucknow go, that bowling attack has got much more about it. They're missing Avish Khan today. Jason Holder has been an absolute standout, a revelation, and he's doing the job in every department. I mean, he's not getting wickets in the power play, but he bowls you the odd over there. His death bowling number seems to be a vastly improved middle and death bowler. Imran, looking at Jason Holder, a while back wasn't regular feature in the IPL, didn't make the West Indies T20 team too. All of a sudden, this guy's become different level of a T20 bowler. What's changed?
I think experience. He's been playing T20 cricket, like you mentioned. He got picked for West Indies, start playing T20 cricket more. He's always been part of T20 franchise. And then I think that's what you need as a player, more experience and more situations where you can show ability and show your heart. And I think he's been put in the situations like that and he learned from it. And then I think this year he's been doing fantastic in all the games, even with the bat and with the ball. A tall guy, come bowl with a new ball and in the middle over and the death over, wherever you want to bring him. And I think he's been a big asset for this team.
I mean, could you have built your plans around Jason Holder, the death bowler, is what I'm thinking of. I mean, they had Avish Khan, but Holder, the death bowler, seems to have solved a lot of problems.
I think so. I think he's quite a unique cricketer as well. The fact that he can bowl in all three phases. People have talked about him as a top order batsman, and he's obviously qualified to whack it at the end. He's a great fielder, sort of goes in those tough positions. So you've actually got an all-round cricketer, and I think that's what's bred to the success, that he's getting confidence in all three departments. He knows he can contribute at any stage if one doesn't quite go so well. If he doesn't go well at the start, he can back it up at the end. So you've got a complete cricketer, and I think it's a guy who's played a lot of cricket, captain West Indies, done exceptionally well. So I think you've seen him at his prime, and the next 2 or 3 years could be Jason Holder at his best. And before this has been pretty good, and I think it could get better and better.
Yep, yeah, we're seeing Jason Holder have a bigger say on most of these games that Lucknow end up on the right side of. Has done the job at the death even when the chase looked likely. So Holder's been an asset for them. They also have the wondrous spinner that Mumbai don't. It's Ravi Bishnoi. Now, you look at Bishnoi's numbers this season, you saw they could build their team around this guy, and he was impressive in 2021, had an excellent season. Suddenly an average of 43, just the 5 wickets in 28 overs. His wicket-taking ability seems to be not quite there. If you look at how the kind of season that Chahal's had, just Ravi Bishnoi, what's missing?
I actually think he's still bowled well. I think those numbers don't represent him as a bowler, and I think the value that he brings to this Lucknow team. So I think that could change very quickly. It could be that 1 or 2 games, just like Charles proven, that you get that 4 or 5 for, and everything starts to look a lot better. So he may have just put his 6 or 7 games together that don't look so good now, and he comes in the back end. So I wouldn't be worried about him as a bowler. He looks like he looks like the bowler he was last year.
Like what you've seen of Ravi Bishnoi, Imran, and of course we tend to say his googly seems to be the standout ball more than his leg break, and we've got Kieron Pollard in the opposition today. We'll be ready for that.
Yeah, look, he's been really good. I agree with Dan. I think number don't justify his talent, but because I think he played last year and batsman obviously maybe looked in him more than obviously, because every time you as a new guy, then people don't know your ability and your variations and stuff like that. But I think they work it out a little bit. But I still think he bowled well. And I think he's probably 1 or 2 games away where he get a couple of wickets and you'll see the old Bishnoi.
Okay, we will see if Bishnoi has a say on this game. He'll come into it in the second half. So too would Nishan Kishan, and the conversation around Kishan, you think, is going to be unkind, given the sort of money that he went for, given, of course, that it's a funny one, Dan, because I thought when he had those 2 games at the start of the season, 80 and a 50, like, thank God, Nishan Kishan's not worried about the price tag and whatnot. Suddenly teams losing, and Kishan looks completely out of it. He's a funny sort of character, isn't he? That sort of strike difference in form.
I think so, and I think there's a few players in the IPL like that they can get on a run of bad scores, but if they stay consistent with their style, they can get back on the horse pretty quickly. And he's the sort of guy who you'd probably expect to have 7 out of 14 performances, maybe 8, as in the previous years. So he's had 2 and he's missed out 5 games. So I think he can jump back pretty quickly, but it looks worse when you're losing. And I think if you look at the IPL teams that have done well so far, the likes of Rajasthan it's just one batter. It's one batter picking up the team with Joss Buttler, and Mumbai haven't had that consistently. So I think you look at all champion IPL teams. It's normally one batter who puts the team on their back and takes them through. And can Rohit or Ishan be that today for the back end of the season?
Rohit, the batter. Is there any reason why this guy doesn't put in 600-run seasons in the IPL, whichever season?
That's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. You look at him and you think there's nothing different.
Yeah, nothing
you know,
wrong.
as soon as he plays for India, he's going to be devastating and be amazing. Maybe there's a burden. Maybe there's something about captaining this franchise that's been so successful, and he's been at the forefront of that success. Albeit the last couple of seasons he hasn't put it together with a bat, but he's still led the team. He's still taken them in the direction that they want to go. So, do we let him off for a tough season? You guys are just waiting for India to do well, so it's you're just worried about that.
Nah, they'll come up against New Zealand at the wrong time anyway.
Yeah, Kane
in a World Cup. Yeah, that's exactly what will happen. But anyway, let's look forward. How much pressure do you think still stands on this team, Imran? Knowing Mumbai Indians, we just know them from the outside. But is it? I mean, they've lost 7 already. You think can this team actually go out and just say, fine, it's okay, we're not going to make it this season, have some fun, or will every defeat just add to the embarrassment, the humiliation? What sort of message do you think the Mumbai Indians would be having now in this stage of the season?
No, look, I think it's quite far to think about next year, to be honest with you, and feel like, we've been losing 7 games and, we can't come out from this. Look, there's nothing impossible, but I know if they lose another game, yes, then there will be few talks around the group and stuff. But I think they just, for me as a player, I think if I was part of it and I had a courage to go to the captain or coaching staff, I just tell them, look, if we still got 7 games remaining, just for our reputation, we need to play as well as I can, even though we will lose. But as long as people realize that, we're putting effort and stuff. And I think that's the positive way of looking at it. I still think that the next year is still far away. They need to obviously play another 7 games, and I think they need to justify the talent they has in their group. So I think they need to play positive and look for win. I think, and you never know, probably things will start changing for them.
Yeah, I wonder if there's ever been a team that's been ruled out of contention so soon into the tournament. I mean, just immediately.
What's the record for most losses?
We should find out.
We should find out. But yeah. I mean, this is a prideful franchise. Some prideful leaders in there. Corin Pollard, Rohit Sharma. These guys don't want to finish the season this way because they've been involved with the franchise. They understand what it's about, and also personal standards. I think that'll be the big message to a lot of these guys, that these young guys have a chance to represent Mumbai, do very well, and continue on with the franchise for a number of years.
All right, KL Rahul stands between them and another win, you think, because his record at the Wankhede Stadium is just terrific. We've seen that against the Mumbai Indians. Anyways, record is great. He got 100 in this reverse fixture too. It seemed like an easy 100 for the Lucknow captain, and back he comes to a ground where he averages nearly 50, strikes at over 145. He's got the 100 and the 350s here too, so good luck to a Mumbai Indians bowling attack that's a bit under the pump at the moment. Right, score, prediction.
Oh, score. I got it exactly right yesterday, so I'm going to go, I think 170 will be a good score, and that'll put a lot of pressure on Mumbai.
All right, Imi, give me a prediction. Lucknow, how much are they going to get?
I think 180.
All right, let's see who stands closer to that first innings prediction at halftime. Big thank you to Imran, Tahir and Dan Vettori. Join us then on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Eco 95G.